Hey, this is Susan. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, just to, if Kitty is not able to show, be on camera, then we need to do a roll call vote if we can't see her vote. I was just going to remind you about that.
Oh, wow. So I need to hook up with this regardless, okay?
If her vote doesn't show up, since we can't see her.
So do you show me showing in PrimeGov?
Yes, it just showing connected.
Okay, thank you.
So it sounds like her voting will work per usual on PrimeGov.
Yeah, she just doesn't have access to a camera. She's not.
Okay, so her vote will still be counted and we don't need to do a voice vote. Is that correct?
No, if she's not on camera, then we have to do a voice vote.
Oh, great. So, okay,
I believe that's what Susan said.
will do. I'll get another way up there. So are you getting a lot of feedback?
Yes, we are.
What about now?
It's still echoing.
This is Susan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I was just going to say, I think if we see your vote, that will be fine, as long as we can see you voting and hear you.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to start? And if we don't see her vote, then we'll take a voice vote.
I think you should be able to see my vote for some reason. I don't know why this computer, it said the camera was not found, and I was just on a Zoom call earlier this morning.
Hey, Kitty, take that camera, unplug it, and plug it back in.
It's a camera that's in my computer. I don't know how to do that.
On your laptop. Yeah, you'll have to reboot it probably.
Oh, I may have to reboot it. Well, we'll wait until afterwards. But as long as I'm on PrimeGov, and plus I see you guys, but apparently you can't see me.
I would think as long as your vote registers on PrimeGov, we'd be okay with just your audio. And then if it doesn't register, we can take a voice vote.
Oh, please. I hope it does, so we don't have to go through this.
Okay. Well, staff, are we ready to get started?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And are we live right now?
Francis?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's live.
Ready to go.
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. Welcome everyone to the June 4th, 2020 meeting of the Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment. My name is Sam Merchant and I'm the chair of the board. As you're aware, during the state of emergency in place during the COVID-19 pandemic and in compliance with state and local stay-at-home orders, no physical location will be provided for the BOA meeting. The meeting will instead be live streamed through remote means. We want to remind everyone that as you have arrived in this virtual meeting, we have muted your microphone except for board members, so be sure to unmute your microphone whenever you're called upon. As instructed in the agenda, those who called or emailed in advance and let us know your name, contact number, and agenda item you wish to speak about will be recognized first. Before the board votes on an item, I will ask any other members to speak if they wish. Anyone speaking will be, we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Since you are muted when I call on you, please unmute yourself. On your phone, you'll press *6 and state your name and address for the record. As you speak on your desktop or laptop, you will hover your cursor over the microphone icon and remove the crossed out red line. If we lose our connection to the meeting will be stopped and reconvened once a connection can be restored. If the connection is unable to be restored after 30 minutes, items remaining on the agenda for consideration will be continued to the next regularly scheduled Board of Adjustment meeting. The agenda and documents are located on okc.gov. Cindy, will you please call the roll?
Cindy, I'll do it.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Merchant,
Present?
Privet,
Present.
Yabara,
Present.
Asbury,
Present.
Voorhees.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, meeting's called to order. The first item on the agenda is to receive the minutes from the May 21st, 2020 meeting. Do we have any changes or we can entertain a motion and a second as well if there are no changes?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, hold on a second here. Well, it's spinning. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, it's not letting me do anything.
That's okay. We can take a roll call vote if that's okay with city staff.
Susan, is that good? Okay. Who was the mover in the second?
It was Mr.
Voorhees
Voorhees
moved.
with the motion and Ms. Yarborough with the second.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to
To receive the minutes?
(2020) meeting.
Sorry, Sam, you're cutting out.
Since my connection is not 100%.
Oh, the screen I'm seeing still says call to order. There we go.
You got that one now? Let's see. That's gonna let me.
Oh, it
Okay.
looks like we've got the online voting system up.
Got a button.
Mr. Voorhees, can you see the voting buttons?
Nope. I am viewing Francis' screen.
It should pop up underneath.
Did you hit escape to exit out of the full screen?
All right. Oh, got it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, looks like everyone's able to see it.
Yeah, got it now.
Okay. And Kitty, well, it looks like you are able to. So if we can just get it to show approved, I think we will successfully. There we go. Okay. And the minutes are received. The next item on the agenda are continuance requests or withdrawals. I believe we have a couple.
We have 3 today. First is item 5, case 14-729, request deferral to August 6th. Item 6, 14-726 has been withdrawn. And item 7, 14-728 has been withdrawn.
Okay. I don't believe we need to vote on the withdrawals, but I do think we need to vote on the continuance request. So if we had a motion and a second to continue case number 14728 to August 6th.
So moved.
No second when I get a button.
Okay.
I'm spinning.
The agenda says 14728 defer to August 6th. And I think it also says 14729. Are we talking about continuing the Kimray? I've got different numbers on my agenda.
Yeah. Should be number 14729, item 5.
Okay. All right, I'm good with that.
Okay, so this is to a motion to continue the appeal in 14729. I did see where there, it looked like 14728 was listed twice, but this is to continue the appeal. And there's a motion and a second. Okay, cast your votes, please. And it's continued. Seeing nothing on the consent docket, we'll move on to items requiring a separate vote. Can we call the first case, please?
First item for public hearing is case number 14748, request of Casey Cornett for a variance to the DTD district bulk standards concerning construction of a home and a detached garage that exceeds the maximum required setback of 10 feet in the Scenic River Overlay Design District. That's located at 608 Southwest 11th Street. And the Riverfront Design Committee met this morning and recommended approval of the variance.
And were there any conditions or anything on the recommendation for approval?
No.
Okay. Is the applicant present?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, if you wanted to introduce yourself and present your application, please.
Sure. First off, thanks for agreeing to hear from me and voting on this. It's something we've been looking forward to for quite some time. So It's really, the variance is just for us to build a home that aligns along with the rest of the neighborhood and adjoining neighbors. We're just trying to build a home that would blend in as much as possible. And I'll be here for questions, but I don't really have any other prepared remarks.
Can you go over the scope of the variance that you're requesting and what exactly it is that you're trying to vary, just for the purposes of the record?
Yeah, of course. So the variance is the maximum setback of more than 10 feet. The neighborhood was established in the early 1900s. I believe it was 1902. And all of the neighbors next door to us and across the street have a variance of 25 feet is where their house starts, along with the front porches. And that is what we are requesting to be able to have as well. The variance as written now only allows for a 10-foot maximum. So we are just asking for the ability to move back to align with other houses.
So this would be a variance of 15 feet total?
It would be moving back to a total of 25 feet. There are probably two different measurements. One is the beginning of the porch and then the beginning of the home itself. So the variance is to move back not only the home past the maximum, but also the detached garage in the back of the home, which is also very similar to other homes in the area. But it would be 28 feet to the home residence and 20 feet to the front of the porch.
Board members, any questions or comments?
No, seems seems like it's pretty in line with what's around. So.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I would just want to put a specific number on the variance. So instead of just saying it's varied in this indeterminate amount, I'd want to put a number on it.
Yeah, the site plans are drawn there to be 20 feet to the front porch and 28. It's an 8-foot porch to the home. So you can, I mean, the plans there, from what I can see on my screen that's being shared, is not an indefinite amount. It is a set amount that we're looking to do.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure this was kind of a final one and not a preliminary one that might change or something. So
right. Well, to help that, we just had triplets 2 weeks ago, and our goal is to get the house built before they are walking around. So I can let you know we are not going back to the drawing board after this is done.
Sounds good. I don't have anyone signed up to speak on this matter. We'll wait for 5 or 10 seconds, but did anyone else want to speak on this matter that's on the line? Okay, hearing none, we'll hear a motion.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the variance in case number 14748 as requested and as drawn up in the site plan. Once we get a voting pane here, we'll be able to cast our votes on that.
See the button, Mike?
Yes?
And the application is approved. .
Item 2, case number 14749 is a request of Johnson and Associates on behalf of OKC Maps for a variance to the maximum 650-foot block length in the Scenic River Overlay Design District located at 1023 South Robinson Avenue. This one as well went to the Riversfront Design Committee this morning and was recommended for approval. And Tim Johnson is on the line representing the application.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, are you present?
Hi, this is Mark Zitzow with Johnson and Associates.
Okay.
Address is 1 East Sheridan Avenue. This morning, as JJ said, we were approved by the Scenic Riverfront, recommended for approval for this variance. What we're requesting is a variance to the maximum block length that's permitted in the Scenic River Overlay. There's actually a regulation, not a guideline, in this design district compared to other design districts where this is just a guideline. The regulation is to prevent owners from blocking access to the river and providing adequate circulation throughout this area. This park is very different than a private development in that the goal of this park is to provide access and public space both to the river and internally. So there's significant connections for pedestrians and for cyclists, and there is still vehicular access on 15th Street. Cindy, I don't know if you have the other exhibit that we submitted that shows the park layout. But thank you. The Scenic River, the Riverfront Design Commission and the Planning Commission have voted to recommend approval to City Council that all these streets be closed. That application's been heard. The variance request actually popped up a few weeks later when staff realized that the maximum block length was a regulation in this district. So we're here asking your approval, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Makes sense to me. Definitely peculiar piece of property and project that's probably not contemplated under the regulations that are applicable. So it makes sense to me. But board members, do you have any questions or comments? Was anyone else on the line that wanted to speak on this matter? Hearing none, if we have a motion, we can entertain that at this point.
I'll move approval.
This is Kitty, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the variance in case number 14749. The reason that it meets the statutory conditions for a variance. Once we get a voting pane, we'll be able to vote on this item. And the application is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3, case number 14750 is a request of Park First at Bricktown for a variance to the minimum lot coverage requirement in the Bricktown Core Development District located at 2 Northeast 2nd Street. And Jennifer Horn and Jim Couch represent the applicant.
Okay. The representatives present. And we'll wait a few more seconds, but the representatives in case number 14750 present or on the line. And Cindy, have you been able to confirm whether they called in or not?
Yes, sir. I did hear from them this morning and they were prepared to be here at the meeting online.
Okay. Well, we will move that application to the end of the docket and move on to item number 4.
Okay, number 4 is 14751, request of Baber Revocable Trust for a variance to the parking and paving requirements in the C3 district and the Urban Design Overlay District located at 608 East Eubank Street. And Scott Baber represents the applicant.
Okay. Is the applicant on the line?
Yes, I'm here, Scott Baber.
Okay. If you wanted to present your application, please. And I didn't hear also, if you could just also specify your address for the purposes of the record, please.
Okay. We're at 4205 Crystal Springs Road in Moore. We bought the building in March, and as you can see that the lots are only 25 feet wide. So there's 2 lots there. It's only 50 feet wide, and we're required to have 5 parking spaces. So one of the things that was recommended from the city staff, from Michael Philbrick, was to put the ADA space in the front of the building, and that's what we're preparing to do. And that's where the ramp is too.
Okay. And do I read this correctly, that, or at least reviewing this correctly, in that the ADA space is going to be where the existing driveway was, or close to that?
Well, we're putting it in the front of the building. So there's a small driveway to the, there's somebody's using that cursor there. So there's the driveway currently is along what would be the east side of the building.
Yeah, and Cindy, I think if that's Cindy, if you could flip to the photos that were included. And I think that one you just showed would work. I think there was a satellite image or something, but yeah, that one. So it looked to me like some of these adjoining properties. I'll tell you, one of my concerns with this was if this didn't really fit in with the character, and folks aren't usually backing in to exit there on Eubanks, but it looks like all those other properties are doing that. So given that, I mean, I think I could support it just because the other properties also back into Eubanks. And I think that's what you're trying to do here. Is that correct?
Well, we're going to have turnaround space in the back of the building. So you'll be able to drive in, park. We're keeping the covered parking back there. So they'll park in there and then back out and then be able to pull out forward.
And those are the folks leaving on Lincoln. Is that correct, or is it 35th?
We only affront Eubanks. We don't, there's another lot there, another 2 lots there in between Lincoln and 608.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Well, it makes sense to me. Board members, any questions or comments? Was there anyone on the line that, I don't have anyone signed up to speak, but was there anyone on the line that wanted to speak on this matter? Hearing none, board members will take a motion in a second.
This is Kitty. I'd like to motion that we approve case number 14751 based upon for the variance of the parking and paving.
This is Monica. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the variance in case number 751 for the reason that it meets the statutory conditions for a variance. Cast your votes, please. And it's approved. Okay, then if we can go back to item number 3, JJ.
Okay, we're returning to item number 3, 14750, request of Park First at Bricktown for a variance to the minimum lot coverage requirement of the Bricktown Core District located at 2 Northeast 22nd Street.
Is the applicant able to speak at this point?
This is Jim Couch and Don Karchmer with Park First. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you so much. And thank you for your bearing with us when we had a few technical issues.
No problem.
I want to give you just a little bit of history on this. When Bank First bought the former Liberty Tower, Chase Tower, Cotta Tower building in July of 18, to make that property viable, they need to have parking that goes along with it. So they were able to buy with Continental Resources by the Santa Fe parking garage, but at full capacity, that's not enough parking for Continental Resources and the new Bank First Tower. So the city sold Park First, which is a joint venture between Bank First and Bricktown Parking Investors, the parking lot on the east side of Gaylord, south of 2nd Street, north of Main Street, for the purpose of building a parking garage in there. The city reserved a railroad easement through the middle of it for a future tie into the Burlington Northern Line that goes through there. And so it has a huge impact on the piece of property. And so what we're asking for today is a variance to Chapter 59, Section 7150, Table 7150, that requires a 60% minimum lot coverage. And we are over 60% of lot coverage on the piece to the west. We are not where the garage is. We are not to the piece to the east. We could do a lot split, but if we did a lot split, there's no public access then to the lot to the east. This is very unique. There's only limited access to this property, period, because of the, it disconnects very shortly on the 2nd Street on the far northwest corner, and then it does connect down to Main Street through a road there toward the west end of it. The railroad blocks it off to the west, and there is no access through the Walnut Street Bridge on the east. So it's a very, very unique piece of property. And so we're proposing again to build a parking garage on the west side of that because that's closest to downtown and the most viable parking. And that will be 60%, but it doesn't for the entire track because of the railroad easement that goes through the middle of it. And this was approved by the Bricktown Urban Design Committee. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, this was certainly an interesting one, and I'm very familiar with the area and have lived in those deep Deuce apartments. And my only kind of concern there would be that it would block off the view potentially for everyone in Deep Deuce for their view of downtown and Bricktown. But this isn't a variance request for the height or anything like that. So I don't think that concern is particularly defeating of your application. Board members, any questions or comments?
This is Kitty, I do have a question. Will there be any hindrance to people coming in and out of that parking lot? Because I'm not familiar with that area, but it seems like it's pretty tight by looking at the visual.
Yeah, that's a great question. The designers are working on that very close to make sure that that doesn't serve the needs of the garage to limit access. So we are working very closely to make sure that we do have full access up to 2nd Street and for both the garage and for the garage and the parking lot to exit in a roadway down to Main Street. We will be able to go underneath the railroad easement. Right now, until the railroad's built, we'll be able to just use it like it's a surface lot. But once the railroad spur is built through there, we do have access under the spur that will allow us access down to Main Street. Good question.
Thank you.
Board members, any other questions or comments? I don't have anyone else signed up to speak, but we'll wait a few seconds and I'll ask if there's anyone else on the line that wanted to speak on this matter. Hearing none, we will entertain a motion in a second.
I'll move approval.
I'll second. This is Kitty.
I beat you, Mike. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. I'll just vote yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve a variance in case number 14750 for the reason that it meets the statutory conditions for a variance. Cast your votes, please. And it is approved. The remaining items on the agenda have either been withdrawn or deferred, so we'll move to additional items. I see nothing on the agenda there, nothing under communications or board reports. Are there any citizens to be heard? Okay, is there any other business from board or staff? I guess this is a good time for me to reiterate my appreciation for the board for taking your time out to make sure that the business of the city can continue and these folks can continue their projects. I know they're very thankful. And so I just want to express my thanks to the board as well for doing this in somewhat unusual times. Seeing no other business, we are adjourned.
See ya.